This is a G7c, and in this video we're going to evaluate a solution for reasonableness, verify its accuracy, and interpret the solution in the context of the original problem. So this is all about at the end, like after you found an answer, what should you do? You should always check to make sure that your answer makes sense, that it works, and that it especially makes sense within the context or the situation that the problem is presented in. So, again, we're talking about problem solving. This topic is very much linked to these other two topics right here. And lastly, you will always be given, when you're doing these three standards, you will always be given problems that are involving other standards because, well, you have to have a problem to solve. So let's take a look at our story problem again. So this is our problem. A piece of 16 gauge copper wire, 42 centimeters long, is bent in the shape of a rectangle whose width is twice its length. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. So in previous lessons, for G7a, I set up the problem situation. That was the two equations here and here. And then in the next lesson, G7b, we actually went ahead and solved it. And now we're going to look at or focus on these two solutions here. So how can I check to see if my answer is actually correct? Well, I can take my original equation, 2L plus 2W equals 42, and I can substitute in for L, 7, and I can substitute in for W, 14, and that has to add up to 42. So 2 times 7 is 14. And 2 times 14 is 28, and that has to equal 42. And let's see, 4 plus 8 makes 12, carry the 1, and I get 42 equals 42. Does it work as a solution? Does it check? Yes, it does. So this standard is all about focusing on this step right here of the problem situation. Can you take the answers and verify that they are correct? In this case, I'm using algebra to verify that it's correct. And the second part to this, after you verify that the answers do make sense, or do verify, they do work, in this case, algebraically, the next thing is to ask, does it make sense? So maybe that doesn't make sense to you, but let's say that you got an answer of like 1,200,000 centimeters. You know, does that make sense? Does it make sense that you might have a wire that's 1,200,000 centimeters long? Probably not. Does it make sense that an answer might be 7 centimeters long and 14 centimeters long? Yeah, that makes sense. That's not that long. That seems reasonable, like it could really happen. That's the second part to this standard, is knowing what your answer means and kind of asking yourself the question, does this make sense? And I think 7 and 14 centimeters do make sense. It does seem reasonable, so it kind of passes that test. So for this particular standard right here, you may be asked to write some sentences that explain what I was just talking about explaining how you check your answer, maybe showing some mathematical work to check your answer, and then giving some sentences that you write out to explain, like, oh, 7 centimeters and 14 centimeters does make sense. It wouldn't make sense if it was a large number. It wouldn't make sense if it was a negative number. It wouldn't make sense if it was a never-ending number, an irrational number, things like that. That's what this standard is really all about.